Good morning. Today I will present in a depth analysis of administrative culture under the President Corazon C. Aquino in year 1986 to year 1992. Aquino presidency represented more than a challenge of a leader. It was a transition from authoritarian rule towards democratic governance. Her administration had a three simultaneous tasks: dismantle the institution, rebuild democratic and constitutional structure, and manage day-to-day governance during the fragile political transition. The result was distinctive administrative culture, one that aspired toward transparency, participation, and constitutionalism, but continued to operate inside a prismatic society with informal practice and entrenched interests still shape outcome. Historical political context: Marcos' legacy to Aquino. Understanding administrative culture under Aquino requires a short history lesson. Under Marcos, the bureaucracy became a highly centralized. Many civil functions were militarized and patronage networks were institutionalized. Agency, processes, and norms were reshaped, serve as executive control rather than public accountability. When Aquino assumed the presidency after the people power, she inherited a bureaucracy widely perceived as a complicit with authoritarian excesses, a military fractured and factionalism, a mobilized but ideologically diverse civil society, and an economic weakened by crony capitalism. The twin tasks of restoring legitimacy and stabilizing the state set the stage of the administrative reform that follows. I will use a concrete example during Ferdinand Marcos martial law, proclaiming number 1081 of 1972. Legislative power was effectively transferred from the Congress to the President. Marcos abolished the functioning of the Congress and assumed both executive and legislative authority, issuing the presidential decree that had a force of law. The centralized law-making power in the office of the president, removing the removing it from the elected legislator. In short, the transfer of authority occurred when Marcos dissolved Congress and concentrated law-making, a governing power, in a presidency reinforced by the military control over civil institutions. Democratizations of the bureaucratic ethos. Democra- Democratizations of the democratic ethos refers from the transforming of government bureaucracy from an authoritarian, centralized, and patronage-driven by system into one that upholds democratic values such as patriotism, participation rather, transparency, accountability, and respect of the citizens' rights. Aquino administration prioritized restoring democratic norms inside the bureaucracy. The atmosphere changed from fear and enforced compliance to one that allows civil servants to speak up, to question directives, and participate the deliberative process. This shift was more cultural than merely procedural. It saw the refrain public service and public trust rather than vehicle of the political control. The 1987 Constitution and associated legal reform reintroduced the formal protection for civil liberties and strengthened institution, check the providing the legal scaffolding that made of the constantable bureaucracy possible. A defining features of Aquino administration culture was restorations of democratic norms, revival of the civil liberties, and political freedom, decentralized authority, and participatory governance. They established constitutional check and balance the true 1987 Constitution. The Aquino leadership encouraged a bureaucracy was the less fearful and more empowered. Employees in the public agencies reported greater freedom from express concern and challenged previous norms and blind obedience. From the bureaucratic compliance to bureaucratic constantability. On this point, the cultural change lagged behind legal reform. Moral improved, but norms took time to settle. Emphasized that while in 1987 Constitution, a post-Marcos reform introduced strong legal and institutional safeguard, cultural change within bureaucracy did not happen overnight. Formal rule promoting transparency, meritocracy, and accountability was established, but deep-seated habit, patronage practice, and hierarchical mindset persisted. Note that bureaucratic morale improved after the transition. The civil servant felt safer, less politicalized, and more empowered. But new democratic norms took time to settle, requiring continuous training, professionalizations, and gradual shift of organizations' culture. Institutional rebuilding and re-legitimizations. Rebuilding institutions, a core of preoccupations of Aquino's here was institutional rebuilding, restoring functional legislator, re-empowering constitutional commission like Commission on Audit, Civil Service, Commission on Election, and creating oversight mechanism to signal a break within authoritarian impunity. Agencies like civil service commissions were strengthened to re-establish merit of oversight. At the same time, Aquino administration pursued purge of purge and removal of officials associated with Marcos regime and re-legitimize the state. While the politically understandable, this purge sometimes produced unintended consequences, loss of experience, technocrats, break in institutional memory, a short-term stability, and inside agency. As I mentioned, that the rebuild equal both capacity work and symbolic reauthorizations highlight the rebuilding and bureaucracy after Marcos regime involved both practical capacity building and symbolic reauthoritarian. On the other hand, government agency needs to improve skills resources and system to function democratically. On the other, The state had restored public trust and legitimacy, sig- signaling that the authority was not but was now rooted in the constitution law rather than authoritarian command. Stress that this rebuilding was not just technical, it was also symbolic reaffirming democratic norms and redefining what legitimate governance looks like. Decentralizations and local autonomy, local government code, and devolutions. One of the Aquino's most consequential administrative legacy was enabling local autonomy. The Local Government Code of or the Republic Act 7160 of 1991 devolved the responsibility for basic service, health, agriculture, local infrastructure, and provide LGUs expanded fiscal power and formal rules. The local participation, this was intended to correct Manila-centric model and bring to the administration closer to citizens. However, devolution also shifted real power into the local political dynamics, which in many places reinforced traditional political families and boss politics. Decentralizations, therefore, altered that the administrative culture. It encouraged the local innovations and citizens' engagement in some localities while deepening patrimonial control in others. During the Aquino administration, decentralization represented a profound institutional change rather than technical reform. In the aftermath of authoritarian rule, the shift towards local autonomy embodied in early effort that later culminated in 1991 Local Government Code, configuring how state authority, fiscal resource, and political influence were distributed, empowering local government, reviving local elections, and restoring community-level decision-making and redistributed power away from highly centralized structures entrenched during Marcos' era. This reform created new political economic winners and losers. Local elites gained greater discretions over budget and service delivery. National agencies control and communities experience uneven benefits depending on their capacity and local leadership. Thus, under Aquino, decentralization carried clear distributions and consequences fundamentally reshape and landscape of the Philippines governance. Participatory and people-oriented governance, people power ethos in policy. People power wasn't only a political slogan. It shapes governance practice. Aquino administration open consultative shape of NGOs or the non-government organizations and civil society in policy planning, monitoring, visible in agrarian reform, and discussion human rights processes, and local development council. The media regain independence, become critical arena for the accountability. The administration promotes a value-based leadership narrative, integrity, humanity, public service, view influence, hearing and public messaging. Yet, critic noted attention, participatory, was sometimes undercut by weak technical planning and limited administrative capacity. On the consultative process, in the role of the non-government organizations, in the comprehensive agrarian reform dialogue in the Philippines, that this process, the non-government organization often act the intermediate between the government and the local farming communities. Support the CARP dialogue by gathering farmers into providing expertise and ensuring policies reflect communities' needs. Constraint and contradictions. The prismatic society dynamic. The Philippine under Aquino fits Riggs models of prismatic society. The formal modern institutions coexisted with traditional personalistic practice. Legal reform often outpaced behavior change so that the formal rule existed alongside long-standing informal practice. Implementation gaps where policies took place of the progressive on a paper but stall in execution become a hallmark of a period. Apache reform outcome refers to the reform or policy change that are inconsistent, incomplete, or unevenly implemented. Instead of achieving full, uniform success, that result vary. Some areas or groups benefits, while others see little or no improvement. So patchy essential means spotty or uneven result. Thus reform often look progressive on a paper but face implementation barriers. The constraint and contradiction on military interventionism. A significant constraint was repeated military interventionism. Aquino faced multiple coup attempts, to a most serious occur on December 1989. A nearly overrun Malacanang, it also created a climate administrative uncertainty, militarizations on executive environment, and reliance on the military for political survival. These threats created chronic administrative uncertainty, focused executive on survival and security priorities. Indirectly, remilitarized centered functions of government. The needs of the negotiate with or seek the external support of the natural court, shape decision making and limited space for a long-term administrative reform. Bureaucratic and legacy authoritarian rule. After 2 decades of centralized authoritarian rule, professional norms were eroded and institutional memories fragmented. Many bureaucrats carried with them the habits of initiatives and patronage linkage in the preceding era. Organizational resistance, both passive and active. Slow reforms often found that the changing organizational culture required more than new law. It required time, training, stable career incentives, and consistent enforcement of rules. Economic limitations. Aquino reforms had a carried out under tight fiscal constraints. The economy faced a debt burden, reduced investors' confidence, and limited public revenue. Public or budget shortfall constrained human resource investment, IT upgrades, and administrative capacity needs to operate ambitious reforms like CARP or large-scale decentralizations. In short, the goal of outstrip resource in many policies area. The Aquino administration's effort to democratize and professionalize the bureaucracy were limited by budget constraints. While legal and institutional reform provides the framework for merit-based recruitment, accountability, and transparency, insufficient funding restricted training programs, system upgrade, and effective implementations of new processes. This meant that despite improvement in moral and the formal adoptions of democratic norms, the capacity of agency to fully operational reform was constrained, slowing the overall pace and impact of the administrative modernizations. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program. According to Republic Act 6657 of 1988, was emblematic of Aquino's people-oriented reform agenda. Land redistribution, rural empowerment, and recollective social policy to address historical equities. It was legally ambitious, a political silence, yet operational challenge, landowner resistance, bureaucratic bottleneck at the Department of Agrarian Reform, and protected legal dispute slowed transfer. CARP demonstrate that the recurrent pattern, policy moral force plus weak implementation capacity can be result a partial success. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program under the Aquino administration showcased that the government ambitions to implement transformative social economic reform by redistributing land to tenant farmers. However, its implementations also revealed the limitation of state capacity, bureaucratic inefficiency, limited resource, weak enforcement mechanism, and resistance from powerful landowners' slow progress. CARP thus illustrate the tensions between the reformist goal and practical constraint of the bureaucracy, still overcoming the legacy of authoritarian centralizations and limited institutions' effectiveness. Reorientations of state-owned enterprise. One of the opportunity was to dismantle the crony monopolized and reoriented state-owned enterprise towards the public interest. This This interest or entails privatizational legal constitutions and regulatory realignment. Reform outcome were mixed. Some monopolistic practice were reproduced, but regulatory gaps and political bargaining something reintroduced distortions and legal conflict over and transfer consume administrative energy. The anti-corruption's initiatives. Aquino foregrounded moral governance that the heroic, heroic symbolic act break from the impunity. She established the institutions and commissions aimed at the cleaning up ill-gotten wealth and strengthen oversight. Still, initiatives and enforcement capacity were weak, and patronage networks provide resilience. Progress occur, but corruption's controlled remain an incremental contested process. When discussing CARP, the state capacity highlighted the creations of reform bodies like the PCGG or the Presidential Commission on Good Governance. The PCGG tasked with the recovering the ill-gotten wealth from from the Marcos regime, reflecting that the Aquino administration broader the reformist and accountability agenda. It established show governments and ambition to restructure institutions and assert state authority, but like CARP, its work was constrained by bureaucratic capacity, limited resources, and political resistance, illustrating both from the process or the promise of the practical limits and post-authoritarian reform. Assessment of Aquino administrative culture, summarizing the legacy, post positive contribution, restored democratic ethos and constitutional rule, strengthened accountability and institution and formal oversights, institutionalized local autonomy, and created formal participatory channel and re-legitimized the citizen service and reopened the public space for the civic sector. Limitations, patronage and elites captured persistent across level, administrative capacity remain weak and essential for large-scale implementation, political stability diverted focus and resources. Reform were something fragmented and lack of the integrated long-term capacity building program. Overall, administrative of Aquino fundamentally altered the normative orientations of the Philippine states but faced structural barriers to fully institutionalizing thus the norm of itself. The Aquino's administrations offer key lessons. Democratic requires both structural reform and depth cultural shift. Democracy needs more than laws. Structural reform must be accompanied by change and bureaucratic political culture. Transition government face unique legitimacy and capacity change. Transition, challenge, new government struggles and legitimacy and limited administrative capacity. Institutional reform must match with the bureaucratic professionalism. Reform requires professional bureaucracy. Institutional and change only work if civil servants are trained, accountable, and competent. Local autonomy is valuable, but most address traditional politics. People-centered governance must be completed by the managerial competence. In conclusion, The administrative culture under President Corazon C. Aquino represented a moment in the Philippine governance marked by the restorations, institutions, and the empowerment of the citizens and local government. However, the era also revealed enduring the structural constraint, patronage network, weak institution, economic limitations, and internal instability. Aquino's legacy is thus a blend of democratic rebirth and administrative struggle, offering rich insights for students and practitioners of a public administrations.